Not every big-budget film is destined to be a box office smash. Today, we're counting down the worst 10 biggest box office flops of all time. These movies had massive production budgets, high expectations, and often star-studded casts, but they just couldn't recoup their costs. Stick around to see which movie holds the unfortunate title of the biggest flop of all time. Starting off at number 10 is Jupiter Ascending, a sci-fi epic that promised so much, but ultimately left audiences underwhelmed. Directed by the Wachowskis, the film stars Channing Tatum as Cain, a half-human, half-wolf warrior, and Mila Kunis as Jupiter Jones, an ordinary woman who discovers she's the heir to a powerful alien dynasty. The plot follows Jupiter as she gets swept into a cosmic conflict involving intergalactic royalty, with Cain acting as her protector. Along the way, she must confront the powerful Abrasax family, who plan to harvest Earth for their own gain. Despite its visually stunning effects, and the Wachowskis' track record with the Matrix trilogy, Jupiter Ascending was widely criticized for its confusing plot and lackluster performances. The film's massive $176 million budget, combined with weak box office returns of only $183 million globally, meant that it barely made back its production cost, let alone marketing expenses. It was a major disappointment for Warner Brothers. What did you think of Jupiter Ascending's visuals? At number 9 is John Carter, Disney's ambitious attempt to launch a new sci-fi franchise, which failed spectacularly at the box office. Directed by Andrew Stanton, John Carter is based on the Barsoom series by Edgar Rice Burroughs and stars Taylor Kitsch as the titular character. The film follows John Carter, a Civil War veteran who is mysteriously transported to Mars. Once there, he becomes embroiled in a conflict between warring Martian factions and discovers he has newfound strength due to the planet's lower gravity. Carter must navigate this strange new world, save the Martian princess Dejah Thoris, and prevent a war that could destroy the planet. With a budget of over $263 million, John Carter was expected to be Disney's next big sci-fi hit. However, it only managed to gross $284 million worldwide, barely covering its production budget and losing Disney millions in marketing costs. Critics cited its muddled storyline and underwhelming performances, making it one of Disney's most expensive flops. Have you ever read the books that John Carter was based on? Coming in at number 8 is The 13th Warrior, a Viking epic that couldn't recover its massive budget despite an all-star cast. Directed by John McTiernan and starring Antonio Banderas, The 13th Warrior is based on the novel Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. The plot follows Ahmed Ibn Fadlan, a Muslim ambassador who is banished from his homeland and ends up joining a group of Viking warriors on a quest to defeat a mysterious and deadly enemy. Along the way, Ahmed must adapt to the Vikings' brutal ways and earn their trust as they prepare for an epic battle. With a production budget of $160 million, The 13th Warrior was one of the most expensive movies of its time. However, it only earned $61 million worldwide, making it a massive financial failure. Despite its grand scope and battle sequences, the film was heavily criticized for its pacing issues and lack of character development, contributing to its box office collapse. Did The 13th Warrior live up to your expectations for a Viking movie? At number 7, we have Mortal Engines, a steampunk dystopian adventure that failed to get the gears turning at the box office. Produced by Peter Jackson and directed by Christian Rivers, Mortal Engines is based on the novel by Philip Reeve. The film is set in a post-apocalyptic world where cities have been turned into giant mobile machines that roam the earth, consuming smaller towns for resources. The story follows Hester Shaw, Hera Hilmar, a mysterious young woman seeking revenge against the man who murdered her mother. Alongside Tom Natsworthy, Robert Sheehan, Hester uncovers a conspiracy that could change the future of humanity. With its $150 million budget and Peter Jackson's name attached to it, expectations were high for Mortal Engines. Unfortunately, it only grossed $83 million worldwide, becoming one of the biggest box office failures of 2018. Critics slammed its weak character development and over-reliance on CGI, making it more style than substance. What's your favorite steampunk film or book? At number 6 is The Lone Ranger, a film that was meant to revive a classic American hero but instead became one of Disney's most infamous flops. Directed by Gore Verbinski and starring Armie Hammer as the Lone Ranger and Johnny Depp as his Native American sidekick Tonto, the film is set in the American Old West. The plot follows John Reed, a lawman who is left for dead but is revived by Tonto and becomes the masked vigilante known as the Lone Ranger. Together, they battle a corrupt railroad tycoon and his gang of outlaws in a bid for justice. With a production budget of $250 million, The Lone Ranger had all the makings of a blockbuster, but its bloated runtime, odd tonal shifts, and controversial casting choices led to a critical and commercial disaster. The film only grossed $260 million worldwide, failing to make back its production and marketing costs and earning Disney a huge financial loss. Was The Lone Ranger a misunderstood movie, or did it deserve to flop? At number 5 is King Arthur: Legend of the Sword, a fantasy film that tried to reboot the Arthurian legend but fell short of its goal. Directed by Guy Ritchie, King Arthur: Legend of the Sword stars Charlie Hunnam as King Arthur and Jude Law as the villainous Vortigern. The plot follows Arthur, who is raised in anonymity after his father's murder. When he pulls the legendary sword Excalibur from the stone, Arthur is forced to embrace his destiny and lead a rebellion against his tyrannical uncle Vortigern to reclaim his rightful place as king. Despite its flashy action sequences and stylish direction, King Arthur: Legend of the Sword couldn't find an audience. With a budget of $175 million, the film grossed just $148 million worldwide, making it one of the biggest box office bombs of 2017. Critics were divided on Ritchie's modernized take on the legend, but audiences didn't seem interested in a franchise reboot. Did you enjoy the unique style of King Arthur: Legend of the Sword? Coming in at number 4 is The Adventures of Pluto Nash, a notorious sci-fi comedy starring Eddie Murphy that became one of the biggest financial disasters in Hollywood history. Directed by Ron Underwood, The Adventures of Pluto Nash is set in the year 2087 and follows Pluto Nash, Eddie Murphy, a nightclub owner on the moon, as he tries to fend off mobsters who want to take over his club. Along the way, Pluto teams up with his robot bodyguard, played by Randy Quaid, and an aspiring singer, played by Rosario Dawson, to outsmart the criminals. Despite a star-studded cast and a $100 million budget, the film only grossed $7 million at the box office. It was universally panned by critics for its unfunny script, poor special effects, and lack of direction, solidifying its place as one of the worst flops in cinematic history. What's your favorite Eddie Murphy movie? At number 3 is Cats, the 2019 musical adaptation that became infamous for its unsettling CGI and disastrous critical reception. Directed by Tom Hooper and based on the hit Broadway musical, Cats stars an ensemble cast including Judi Dench, Idris Elba, Taylor Swift, and James Corden. The plot revolves around a group of cats called the Jellicles, who gather once a year to choose which cat will ascend to the Heaviside Layer and be reborn. While the original stage show was a massive success, the film adaptation was a visual and narrative mess. The CGI was heavily criticized for its creepy and unfinished look, with many calling the human-cat hybrids unsettling. Despite its $100 million budget, Cats only grossed $75 million worldwide, earning it the title of one of the biggest flops of 2019. Did Cats deserve all the backlash, or was it overblown? At number 2 is Pan, a 2015 fantasy adventure that attempted to tell the origin story of Peter Pan, but failed to fly at the box office. Directed by Joe Wright and starring Hugh Jackman as Blackbeard and Levi Miller as Peter Pan, Pan follows a young Peter as he is kidnapped by pirates and taken to the magical world of Neverland. There, he discovers his destiny as the boy who will one day become the legendary hero, Peter Pan. Alongside James Hook, who is not yet a villain, Peter leads a rebellion against the tyrannical Blackbeard to save Neverland. Despite its $150 million budget and star-studded cast, Pan only earned $128 million worldwide. Critics and audiences alike felt the film lacked the magic and charm of other Peter Pan adaptations, resulting in a financial loss for Warner Brothers. Is Pan the worst Peter Pan movie, or do you think it deserved more credit? And finally, at number 1, we have Battlefield Earth, the 2000 sci-fi epic that is widely regarded as one of the worst movies ever made. Directed by Roger Christian and starring John Travolta, Battlefield Earth is based on the novel by L. Ron Hubbard, set in the year 3000. The plot follows humanity's struggle for survival after Earth is conquered by a race of aliens called the Cyclos. Travolta plays Turl, the leader of the Cyclos, who enslaves the remaining humans. A small band of humans, led by Johnny Goodboy Tyler, Barry Pepper, fights back to reclaim the planet. With a budget of $73 million, the film only grossed $29 million and was universally panned for its terrible acting, laughable dialogue, and bizarre cinematography. Battlefield Earth is often cited as one of the worst films of all time, making it the biggest box office flop in history. Did Battlefield Earth deserve all the hate, or is it a guilty pleasure for you? And that wraps up our list of the worst 10 biggest box office flops of all time. Which of these movies did you find disappointing? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more rankings and reviews. Thanks for watching.